my dears, in love and light, how to do inner work. Now, I thought I'd make a video straight up on how to do inner work. And the reason for that is that inner healing that we need catapults us in Ascension, and it facilitates so much. It facilitates our spiritual abilities coming on. It facilitates dissolving the ego. It facilitates the subconscious not constantly triggering up emotions all the time, making us feel crappy during the day. The inner work facilitates everything. It's the root basis of everything we need to do. Now, quite often people will say to you, you need to do inner work, you need to do shadow work, you need to heal this, you need to heal that. But they don't give you a clear and concise bunch of methods that you can do and explain properly what the problem is and why you have emotions coming up day in, day out. So I'm going to squeeze it, condense it into a video right now as quick as I can, just to explain super quick what is inner work and how can I do it. In a moment I'll give 3 examples of issues that need inner work, but first I'll explain why the need for it comes about in the first place. Now, we would all be walking around socially fine, happy, joyful, with plenty of inner peace in the present moment if we had been given the tools to balance ourselves, to validate our own selves, to be emotionally balanced. Now, the reason why we're not is because parents are not given the tools needed. They're not given parenting classes, well, in the right things anyway. And it's pretty simple, but it doesn't occur. And people end up growing up with minor traumas and major traumas into adulthood. Now, it can be from very minor things like a little bit of neglect, a little bit of ignoring, a few comments here and there, never being able to make your own decisions, too much pressure being put on you. It can be siblings being mean, it can be kids being mean at school, it can be by a sense of worthlessness, being told you won't amount to anything, it can be being smacked too much, it can be spoilt or smothered. There's so many things. Okay. So what it is, as a child, you're like a sponge and you soak up your reality, and all of the adults around you, they tell you what you are in relation to reality. You observe their behaviours, what they do and how they relate to reality, and you soak it up. And that provides you with a template of how to think and behave in this reality. Because when you're born, you're a blank canvas. And your brain sets to work soaking up like a sponge information and creating formulae on how to think and behave and function in this reality. And the child does this in order to survive and then get on and thrive. So I observe the behaviours, let's say, of my parents, and let's say my mum, she makes dinner on time every day and provides a healthy meal. So I soak up that information, and my subconscious mind, the big, strong, subconscious mind that's full of your memories and programs on how to deal with reality, my subconscious mind accepts that dinner is a regular thing that should occur and we should eat healthy. And we sit around and enjoy it. Okay. That's program written. So I'll take that into adulthood, and I most likely will make dinner every day pretty regularly and make something nice to eat and enjoy it and sit and talk to whoever I'm with. Okay. Now let's say as a child, Mum didn't bother to feed me. The kitchen was a mess and didn't care, and I had to fend for myself and go and dig food out of the freezer or try and operate the oven on my own whenever I felt hungry. Now, what would that teach me? It would teach me that, well, mealtimes aren't important, I'm not important, no one cares about me, that never mind healthy eating, that's not even a concept that I've ever seen before, that mealtime's not a social time, it's just more neglect. Okay, so what does that write in my subconscious? It writes in my subconscious all those things I've just said. So then I take that into adulthood with me. And as an adult, I feel like, well, I'm not worth anyone's bother. I'll go buy a ready meal and shove it in the microwave whenever I'm hungry. I may have issues with food. I may have eating disorder and things like that. So do you see the difference? The programs are written in childhood and you carry it forward. It's written in there to help you figure out reality. Now, if the people who are inducting you into this reality have not got the tools to induct you properly, then that damage is passed on to the next generation. Okay, and it's not just parents, as I said, it can be siblings, it can be other family members, it can be all sorts of things. Even into adulthood, you're still writing programs, but the key ones are written earlier on. So that raises the question, how do I heal this then? What is inner work? Well, inner work is rewriting those negative programs. So your subconscious, imagine it like a hard drive on a computer, it's full of files. So about the dinner times, my subconscious wrote a file on what happens at dinner time, how I feel about myself and how I approach the situation. So as an adult, now me as an adult, I need to go back into that filing system in that computer, which is my subconscious mind. I need to access the file and I need to change it. I need to rewrite it. So we're going back and we're rewriting memories. We're rewriting concepts. We're rewriting ideas, formulas, programs on how to deal with reality. It's all the same thing, rewriting a concept on how to deal with reality that was once written. And we can do that by, 1, recognizing it's there, 2, going back, going over it with a conscious mind, adult mind of today. It's best in a relaxed state. You must be relaxed, because that's why hypnotherapy is so good, because in the relaxed state your subconscious mind is accessible. Your conscious mind in the driving seat, it does one thing at a time. It's the thinker, decision maker, and then the decisions get put into the subconscious for later. It's a thing, it does one thing at a time. The subconscious is the thing that brings up all your emotions, your memories, and all kinds of stuff. It's the big sack you carry around, good and bad, everything you've ever done, seen, heard, decided. Anyway, so you need to go back, isolate that source, and there may be several, and then go over it with your adult reasoning mind while you're relaxed. And then using understanding, so understanding of the key players and the situation, you get new reasoning on it. Because when you're a kid, you reasoned it in a certain way and drew conclusions that are not necessarily helping you today. But you can draw new conclusions in a relaxed state, in that memory, and write it. By addressing it and drawing new conclusions through understanding and forgiveness, you can fix that concept. You can fix that program running. Rewrite the program, rewrite the file, same thing. And then it will radiate into your adult life today, and you'll feel better, bit by bit by bit. Rome wasn't built in a day. Bit by bit by bit, go back to a memory, reason it with your conscious mind. Must be in love and light. Don't hate, don't blame, understand and forgive, and then it will change you today and you'll feel better. Okay, so that example, the negative one about mum never making any dinner, never feeding me and having to fend for myself. So I go back into that memory while I'm in a relaxed state. I meditate down for about 20 minutes. Sorry if I'm speaking fast, I'm trying to get it all in. I meditate for about 20 minutes, go back to that memory. I see mum in the kitchen. I don't have anger or hatred towards mum. I can freeze frame that memory so I don't feel anxious, and only do this when you're feeling good and ready. And then I have understanding for mum. Her mum probably treated her the same. Mum's under too much pressure. Mum's a single mum. Mum's got depression because she's had a sad background. All the terrible things that have happened to mum. She's not mentally equipped to take care of me. Now, although that seems incredibly unfair, we have understanding for mum and the way she is. And therefore, as I always say, understanding is the road to forgiveness. And forgiveness releases the emotion and it rewrites the program. So now, I'm in that memory, I'm looking through the eyes of little me not getting fed. And I'm now having understanding for mum and the way she is and why she's not feeding me. That's the jump, is having understanding of why she's that way and forgiving her because she had a shit life. This is not a real example, by the way, for me, but I'm just using it as an example. And then we can forgive. In that relaxed state, I am in my subconscious. I am the little me, and I just drew a new conclusion. It's not mum's fault. It's not my fault. She couldn't help it. I wasn't worthless. Damn, I wasn't worthless. because it wasn't my fault. She was just that way because she couldn't help it. Whoa. Okay, so when you're done and you've understood and forgiven, okay, through understanding, keep using understanding until you experience forgiveness. And then you stop, and now you might feel weird for a couple of days, you might feel emotional, but then you'll start to notice that in your everyday life, oh, I'm feeling better about myself. I wasn't worthless after all. Wow, she couldn't help it. She had depression. I am a wonderful, vibrant, amazing, confident human being. Point of consciousness. So that's how it works, my method anyway. And I'll just give you a couple more examples just to help you moving forward. Okay, so this example is pressure on the self, I'm not good enough. Many people experience this. Now, why would you experience pressure on the self, I'm not good enough? You need to think back and work it back. What does it remind you of? If you're triggered also, that you recognise I'm putting too much pressure on myself in work and it's triggering stress. That's the trigger, that's the subconscious bit in the subconscious that needs healing. You're feeling stress. Why? I'm putting too much pressure on myself. Why am I doing that? Why am I really doing that? And you can look back and back and back. Okay, so my dad used to put a ton of pressure on me. So you go back into visualization, visualize yourself with dad when he was saying, you've got to do this, you've got to do that, you've got to do the other, all these are the consequences. And you can freeze frame that memory and have a chat with dad and explain to dad how that made you feel in your life today and the stress you're under today. And then visualize him apologizing and understanding that he had your best interests at heart and he really loved you. But he just didn't realize the pressure is pushing you under. And in that way you can write it through understanding, forgive dad, and then when you come out after another, say, 15 minutes of relaxation, you come out and you realise, hang on, I don't need to put so much pressure on myself. He was only doing that because he thought that was the best thing for me, but really I can decide how much pressure to put on myself. So you go back and work on these memories. Here's another example, lack of self-esteem or confidence around people. Okay, so let's say you're feeling triggered and you're very unconfident around people. It's making you feel anxious. Really think about why that is. What does that feel like it originates from? What does it remind you of? It might throw up a memory from younger years or a bunch of memories, and you can work on each of these. So 20 minutes meditation, relaxation, go into those memories, and you remember, let's say, an older sibling who'd never let you speak, tell you to shut up or whatever. So you go into one of those memories, freeze frame it, and have a chat to that sibling. Let them know how they made you feel and what they used to do to you and the result in your life today, and imagine them apologising and explaining for the reason. Let's say they were just a grumpy kid, they were feeling pressure from school, they were being bullied or some reason like that you can think of, and then you have understanding and acceptance of that, and that leads to forgiveness. You see, the subconscious mind accepts these amendments to the programs because the subconscious mind doesn't realise the difference between real life and this visualisation, and it will accept rewriting of the conclusions drawn in the subconscious access state through visualisation. It doesn't have to be real life. So it rewrites the program. Oh, I see. I don't need to have low self-esteem. I'm a wondrous person because my sibling was telling me to shut up and not talk to anyone just because of this reason, that reason, them being a grumpy kid because of their own reasons. Wow, I'm free to flourish now. And just another quick one, let's take the example of being scared of commitment. Okay, so you get into a relationship, getting close to someone, and you start to want to back up, and you're putting walls up. You can't stand to make that commitment. It seems like it's going to be too painful. You're not sure why. So you think, why am I being triggered in this way, this fear? And what does it remind me of? Think back in a relaxed state. Okay, it reminds me of, say, an early relationship where I was dumped and broken-hearted. And so you go back into those memories and you go back and freeze frame it with the person who you're feeling this came from, and you try and have understanding. Why did they dump me? Okay, they were an 18-year-old individual who was living it up and they were a bit unhappy at home, and whatever reasons, they were just just a player or something like that, and understanding why they're like that. Taking the blame off the self. It wasn't me, there was nothing wrong with me, it wasn't my fault. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to happen again, because my new current partner is nothing like that person. So you're understanding it and have forgiveness for them in the relaxed visualization, and therefore you rewrite the program, the conclusions you drew at the time. The conclusion you drew at the time may have been that all people like this, all relationships are a waste of time and I'm just going to get hurt. You rewrite that concept. That was just a one-off, that happened in this case because, and I have forgiveness for it. So when you come out, hopefully you'll start to feel a bit better, because you've addressed that program running in your subconscious. You've addressed that false perception you have that all relationships are going to end in heartbreak, because that was the conclusion you drew and you rewrote it. Okay. So I'll end it there. Just a bit of help on inner work, how to do inner work, just my methods. Do it when you're good and ready, when you feel happy and safe. And remember, bit by bit, we start to feel a little bit better. If you're going into traumatic memories, I ask you to please do that make sure you've got full support, make sure you've got professional guidance, even if they're traumatic memories. This is for work with minor traumas and things like that. When you feel good and ready, make sure you have the support of family members if you feel like it's harsh for you, or the support from friends as well. Make sure you're fully supported. Okay, leave a comment to let me know what you think about this type of inner work and what you've done. And don't forget to click subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, to receive regular spiritual inspiration on your journey through life. Like and share also, because we're raising the mass vibration together. So go now in love and peace.